俺に熱なんてねえよ。
ああ、
俺は部品だ。術師が呪いを払うため、払い続けるための部品。
おいおいおい、マジかお前。
Sometimes the main character of a story isn't the strongest or the most powerful, but the one carrying the heaviest burden. And in Jujutsu Kaisen, the character might just be Itadori Yuji. Yuji is one of the most interesting MCs in the world of fiction. Despite being the main character, he often gets overshadowed by other leads such as Gojo, Sukuna, or Toji. For many people, Gojo almost feels like the face and main character of the show. I'm usually a big fan of movies or shows with multiple leads, and JJK does this exceptionally well, while still giving Yuji strong underdog MC vibes. During the initial season, I felt JJK was just another regular anime with Yuji being a typical protagonist. However, JJK proved me wrong. The character development Yuji goes through doesn't just feel impressive, it feels organic as well. When in the latest episodes, Yuji refers to himself as a cog in a machine, I can't help but feel how much pain, setbacks, and acceptance it takes for someone to reduce themselves to just a cog. From the very beginning, Yuji's body was treated like a device, constantly referring to him as Sukuna's vessel. Yuji completely breaks down after what happens in Shibuya. He cannot fully comprehend everything that took place. The cost of his existence has a loaded weapon. Unlike typical shonen MCs, Yuji never gets the advantages of usual tropes. In JJK, he faces a reality where those tropes doesn't work in his favor. Yuji has always believed people deserved at least a proper death. So, in order to move forward from the Shibuya incident, Yuji had to somewhat dehumanize himself and change how he viewed his own existence. However, Yuji's growth was never simply about doing good or bad, in my opinion. Because, more so, why was he even doing the good things? Is it because of his grandpa's words, or because being a cog feels like his only purpose now? I think for Yuji to truly grow, his actions must come from a place that's both emotional and personal, like wanting to kill Mahito because of what happened to Nobara, negotiating with Sukuna because of what might happen to Megumi, or limiting himself to being a cog to atone for what his existence cost people in Shibuya. We often stumble and fall when life reveals its harsh reality. Most people either get stuck or get distracted when faced with it. Reality is often hard to accept, making everything feel meaningless and difficult to move forward. So, some sort of greater resolve becomes necessary to keep going. Yuji's character now feels like someone who understands the weight of his sins. Instead of saying, I will save people, he now says, I will exorcise curses. Not I'll live meaningfully, but rather I'll be used correctly. It feels like Yuji understands the larger purpose of his existence. Rather than seeing himself purely as an individual, he begins to view himself as part of something bigger and willing to do anything to contribute that purpose. So, in his own words, he calls himself a cog of Jujutsu machine. A cog being a metal part fixed for one purpose, performing its role without questioning why. The contrast in Yuji's approach to life and purpose shows how beautifully Gege Akutami has written the character. As I mentioned earlier, I only watched the anime version of Jujutsu Kaisen, but with this level of story progression and cinematic animation, my expectations are high. I was honestly confused about how JJK could deliver season 3 after the banger that was the Shibuya arc. But with its story, animation, and themes, Season 3 already feels like it might surpass the popularity of previous seasons. And I honestly can't wait to see Yuji someday stand on the same level as, or even surpass, the Honored One himself.